You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep, but because of who you keep around you. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Who is draining your energy right now? Who makes you doubt yourself after you were feeling confident? Who smiles at your face, but quietly enjoys when you struggle? Who always has an excuse, a complaint, a reason why things can't be done? Negative people don't always look toxic at first. They don't walk into your life announcing they're here to destroy your future. They come disguised as friends, as family, as co-workers, as people who care. But over time, they do something dangerous. They normalize weakness. They normalize fear. They normalize settling. They talk you out of your dreams slowly, not with direct attacks, but with doubt. Be realistic. Why are you trying so hard? That's not for people like us. You're changing. And yes, you are changing. That's the problem for them. Because when you decide to grow, when you decide to rise, when you decide to stop living small, you become a mirror. And insecure people hate mirrors. They don't want to see what they refuse to become. Here's the truth most people are too afraid to say. Not everyone is meant to go with you to the next level. Some people were only meant for a season. Some people were only meant to show you what you don't want to become. You don't owe access to your life to anyone who constantly pulls you backward. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe apologies. You don't owe comfort to people who are comfortable with your stagnation. Negative people survive by attachment. They need someone to complain with. They need someone to stay small with. They need someone to validate their excuses. And the moment you stop playing that role, you become a threat. So they'll guilt you. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you change. They'll say you think you're better than them. Let me make this clear. Growth will always offend people who refuse to grow. You can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. You can't become disciplined while surrounded by undisciplined minds. You can't build confidence while listening to voices filled with doubt. Energy is contagious. Mindsets are contagious. Standards are contagious. If you stay around negativity long enough, it will feel normal. If you stay around mediocrity long enough, excellence will feel uncomfortable. If you stay around excuses long enough, effort will feel extreme. That's why removing negative people from your life isn't cruel. It's necessary. You are not responsible for saving people who refuse to save themselves. You are not responsible for carrying emotional weight that isn't yours. You are not responsible for shrinking so others feel comfortable. Your future requires space, mental space, emotional space, energetic space. And negative people take up all three. Every time you tolerate disrespect, pessimism, constant complaining, or lack of ambition, you're telling yourself that your goals don't matter that much. And that lie compounds over time. Pay attention to how people react when you talk about improving your life. Pay attention to who supports you silently and who resists loudly. Pay attention to who gets uncomfortable when you stop engaging in negativity. Because the people meant to grow with you will never try to cage you. They will challenge you. They will push you. They will respect your boundaries. And the ones who don't, they reveal themselves by how they respond to your growth. This isn't about hatred. This isn't about ego. This is about self-respect. You don't cut people off out of anger. You cut people off out of clarity. Clarity that your time is limited. Clarity that your energy is valuable. Clarity that your potential is non-negotiable. And if someone constantly drains, doubts, distracts, or discourages you, they are not part of your future. In the next part, we're going to talk about how to recognize negative people clearly, even when they're subtle, and how to remove them without guilt, without drama, and without looking back. Because your next level will demand it. Negative people are not always loud. Some of them don't insult you. They don't scream. They don't openly attack your goals. They're subtle, and that's what makes them dangerous. They disguise negativity as concern. They disguise fear as advice. They disguise jealousy as realism. They say things like, "I'm just being honest. I don't want you to get hurt. I've seen people fail doing that. I'm worried about you." But listen carefully. Concern that constantly pulls you backward is not love. It's control wrapped in politeness. One of the clearest signs of a negative person is how they respond to your momentum. When you're stagnant, they're comfortable. When you're struggling, they feel relevant. When you're lost, they feel needed. But when you start moving forward, when you start building discipline, when you start changing habits, mindset, standards, that's when the friction appears. They don't celebrate your growth. They question it. They minimize it. They redirect the conversation back to problems, gossip, or fear. Another sign is emotional inconsistency. Negative people drain you without doing anything obvious. You spend time with them and leave feeling heavy, confused, unmotivated, doubtful. Nothing bad happened, yet everything feels off. That's because energy speaks louder than words. People who live in negativity operate from survival mode. They are constantly reacting instead of creating. They are addicted to drama, complaints, and external validation. And when you start stepping into purpose, you disrupt that dynamic. Here's a truth most people avoid. Negative people fear your discipline more than your success. Because discipline exposes excuses. Discipline exposes wasted time. Discipline exposes comfort. So instead of changing themselves, they try to slow you down. They'll test your boundaries. They'll invite you back into old habits. They'll guilt you for saying no. They'll question your priorities. And if you don't recognize this early, you'll start compromising. You'll skip days. You'll soften standards. You'll explain yourself too much. You'll feel guilty for choosing growth. That's how people lose momentum, not overnight, but through tolerance. Now let's talk about the hardest part, detachment. Removing negative people doesn't always mean dramatic confrontations. It doesn't always mean arguments or announcements. Most of the time, it means distance, less access, less explanation, less emotional investment. You stop sharing your plans with people who don't deserve the blueprint. You stop seeking validation from people who never believed in you. You stop negotiating your standards. You become quieter, more selective, more intentional. And yes, some people will notice. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you're cold. But what they really mean is, you're no longer available for what I used to take from you. Growth requires solitude at certain stages, not loneliness, focus. Every person who built something meaningful went through a phase where they had to walk alone, not because they hated people, but because clarity requires silence. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need alignment, not approval. The moment you stop trying to convince negative people, your energy returns. The moment you stop explaining yourself, your confidence sharpens. The moment you protect your environment, your vision gets clearer. And here's something powerful to remember. People who truly care about you may not understand immediately, but they will respect your boundaries. Negative people won't. They'll push. They'll guilt. They'll test. And that's how you know. In the final part, we're going to talk about how to remove negative people without burning bridges, how to build a stronger inner circle, and how protecting your environment accelerates your success faster than motivation ever will. Because once you fix who has access to you, everything else starts to change. Now, let's finish this with something most people never talk about. Removing negative people is not just about who you cut off. It's about who you become after you do. Because the real danger in negativity isn't the comments. It's the internal voice it leaves behind. Even after some people are gone, their words echo. Their doubts replay. Their limitations linger. That's why the final step isn't distance from others. It's discipline within yourself. You must replace the old noise with structure. Structure beats motivation. Structure beats emotion. Structure beats fear. When your days are filled with intention, negativity has nowhere to sit. Wake up with purpose. Train your body. Feed your mind. Limit your exposure. Protect your mornings. Control what you consume. Because negativity doesn't survive in an environment built on standards. Now, let's talk about something critical. Burning bridges. You don't need to destroy relationships to move forward. You don't need to announce exits. You don't need to prove anything. Silence is powerful. Consistency is louder than explanations. When you elevate, some people naturally fall out of your life. Not because you push them, but because they no longer fit the frequency. And that's okay. Growth is selective by nature. Not everyone can go where you're going. If they could, they would already be there. So instead of trying to save people, inspire them through action. Instead of debating, execute. Instead of defending your path, walk it. The right people will recognize the shift. The wrong ones will resist it. And resistance is confirmation. Now here's the truth that changes everything. Your environment shapes your identity faster than your intentions ever will. You can have goals. You can have dreams. You can have ambition. But if your environment is full of doubt, comfort, laziness, and fear, you will constantly fight uphill. That's why elite performers obsess over surroundings. Who they listen to, who they spend time with, what they allow into their mind. Because success is fragile in the early stages. And negativity kills momentum before it becomes unbreakable. This is why protecting your space is not selfish. It's survival. And once you do this, something powerful happens. Your confidence stabilizes. Your focus sharpens. Your decisions become faster. Your excuses disappear. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for approval. You stop shrinking to fit rooms you've outgrown. You realize something important. You were never lacking ability. You were surrounded by resistance. And now that resistance is gone, this is where everything accelerates. Less noise, more clarity, less explanation, more execution. And finally, understand this. Removing negative people doesn't make life easier. It makes life honest. You will face challenges. You will face pressure. You will face moments of doubt. But now, those moments are yours alone, not amplified, not poisoned, not manipulated. And that's where real strength is built. So if you feel uncomfortable right now, if this message hits something deep, if you already know who needs less access to you, that's not coincidence. That's awareness. And awareness is the first step to transformation. Protect your energy. Protect your vision. Protect your future. Because not everyone deserves a front row seat to the life you're building. And the moment you accept that, everything changes.